Once again, it's on. You know what time it is. It's time to play some toss. Welcome, everyone, to episode 139 of Toss, the Tristain Sports Show. It is your main man, T-Squared, Tristan Thomas. Thank you all so very much for joining us. I'm a little bit perturbed, if you can't tell in the voice, because the Packers are going to be the main subject of the State of the State. How in the hell did they lose by 1 point? We'll discuss. And then tall sweep. We got to put prayers up for a hell of an NFL running back. We're talking WNBA playoffs. And we're talking Noah Lyles becoming the villain of the NBA. But you all know how we get things started here on Toss. We get things started with the State of the State. Now, it was not my intentions as I was sitting here putting together the outline of this very program. Again, thank you so much for joining us on this here program, Toss. 139 episodes. It was not my intentions to make the State of the State all about the Green Bay Packers. There's Brewers baseball to talk about. They had lost 2 straight. They currently hold the lead in their game over the Cardinals. 4 straight doubles. Gave them the lead. That game is still ongoing. They're still in first place. We could talk Badgers football, but the Badgers still look mostly uninspiring. They struggled with the Georgia Southern team throughout the entire first half. Came out in the second half and kind of asserted their will a little bit. But really, it's more of the same. They need to run the football. Luke Fickell comes out, talks about they need to be physical. Yeah, you're only physical when you run the football. This air raid stuff is not ready. You do not have the personnel to run an air raid offense. This offense is built for you to run. I've said this many times, and everybody has seen the same thing. So stop trying to be something that you aren't. I know that you're trying to incorporate it into the offense. I know you're trying to make them more balanced. I understand it. But when you have players, you have personnel that know how to get out and put dudes on their asses to open up holes for those running backs, that's what you do. If that is how you could dominate ball games offensively, that's what you're going to do. I'm not saying abandon the pass, because of course you need to pass, because if you become one-dimensional, you're not going to go very far. I'm just saying that this team needs to be led with the run, and then you go to the pass. So, yeah, there's stuff to talk about with the Badgers. There's stuff to talk about with the Brewers. Bucks are closing in on coming back. We'll talk about them in a few weeks. But it wasn't my intention to talk about the Green Bay Packers and make them the center of attention on State of the State. But when you lose a winnable game to the Falcons, now this is no hate to the Falcons. I said it on Quick Toss, which you can see on Facebook, Toss Nation Media, Facebook, which you can see on our YouTube at Toss Nation Media, on Fanbase at T-Squared. I said it on Quick Toss this week that I felt that these teams mirrored each other because they wanted to run the football. They wanted to be physical defensively. But I felt the Packers were at a different level. I'm not saying they were exponentially better, but I felt that they were on a little bit of a higher level. Well, when that person or that team that's on a lower level decides to drag you down, stomp on you, and take your level, no, it doesn't matter what level you're on much, huh? Falcons win 25-24. The Packers coughed up a 12-point lead in the fourth quarter. They went up 24-12. That is how they went into the fourth quarter. This is Green Bay's first blown lead of double digits in the fourth quarter since, and I hate saying it because it is a bad memory, it's quite traumatic, since the 2014 NFC Championship game, the meltdown in Seattle. So you can see and hear exactly why I am perturbed. Because a lot of the mistakes that were made in that NFC Championship game, that meltdown in Seattle, were made in Atlanta this past Sunday. Playing not to lose. Mike McCarthy did it, and to the point where after they lost that game, he gave up play calling. That's not an exaggeration. He gave up play calling for a while. Eventually, he took those reins back, but he gave it up after that. The defense melted down. Well, they melted down in this game as well. Now, I'm really trying my hardest to adhere and honor my mother. I miss you every day. When she said, hey, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. But on the flip side of that coin, my mother always told me to speak my truth. Hence why truthful, opinionated, and passionate. And that's exactly what I'm going to bring to you right now. I'm going to bring you both sides of that coin. On the one hand, we'll talk about the good. Quay Walker, 17 tackles. Hell of a day for him. But he missed an interception that hit him right in the hands. Would have been a difference maker in the game. Jordan Love, another 3 touchdowns, 0 interception game. But he missed some throws. Now, it did not help that some of his receivers dropped the ball. On the one hand, rookie Jaden Reed had 2 touchdowns, his first 2-touchdown game in the NFL, and I don't believe it'll be his last. But he dropped passes. This defense had some moments of brilliance. All the pressure in the face of Desmond Ridder. Sometimes it got home, sometimes it did not. It was enough to hurry the throws and get him off his square, make things very, very difficult, which is how you got out to a 24-12 lead. But when you drop 3 potential interceptions, and I'm looking at you, Jair. I know you don't miss those often, but you missed it. I'm looking at you, Darnell Savage. You missed it. I'm looking at you, Quay Walker. You missed it. I believe, or was that Darnell Savage, or was that Rasul Douglas who dropped one? Either way, Ridder should have had at least 3 to 4 picks, but he did not, because the Packers did not cash in. They did once. The run defense continues to be a sieve. There's some damning numbers from that game. You gave up 27 first downs to the Falcons. 27. Now, I can't put that all on the players because some of it I can. Some of it I absolutely can, because some of that tape, when you go back, you look at it, it is disgusting. It is dirty work. But it's the coach's job to put players in the best position to succeed. And what did Joe Barry do? 3rd and long, 3rd and short, it did not matter. We're going to go soft zone. Still with the same damn thing from last year that has not been any good. I know He does not want to go man constantly, time and time again. I get it. But there's a situation for the zone, and there's a situation to leave that zone alone. And he still does not understand the difference. For all the talent this defense has, how they cannot stop the run is mind-boggling to me. I just don't get it. A part of it, yes, is Joe Barry, but where's the want to from the players? It's as if sometimes they're playing for the flash. They're playing for all the interceptions. They're playing for all the sacks, all the forced fumbles, but not doing the simple fundamental thing, which is stopping the run. The very fact that Joe Barry still has a job is an indictment on Matt LaFleur. And I know some of y'all out there are going to say, oh, well, it's one game, you're overreacting. No, this is a culmination of plenty of seasons and seeing what we saw here. Let's get back to these damning numbers. They gave up 27 first downs to the Falcons, 447 yards of offense to the Falcons. Could not stop Bijan Robinson whatsoever. 124 yards. Just ran all over him. He could have done anything to them. Algier got in there, but it was the Bijan Robinson show. The guy is special, but he ran all over the Packers. And the Packers did nothing to stop it. Matt LaFleur wants to come out after halftime and say, oh, we got to make stopping Robinson a priority. Well, good job. You always want to say, oh, well, we need to do this. Well, what you needed to do was get rid of the coach who was doing what you don't want done. How that run defense continues to be that piss poor is just mind-boggling to me. I don't understand it. Yes, a part of it is scheme, but a part of it is also a willingness to go and stop the run. And does anybody on this defense have that? This isn't a reaction to one game. This is a reaction to multiple seasons of this. I just don't know where you go. Obviously, when you need to bounce back, put up a better effort to stop the run, but it has to be a consistent effort. You can't just come back after one game, after a bad game, stop the run and think you're great. There has to be a willingness, a want to go and stop the run. There has to be a willingness and a want to put guys in the best position to be able to do that. This is on coaches and players. Even before all of those damning numbers were completed, there was a critical juncture in the first quarter in which I felt this game was lost, because eventually this is what decided the game for me. Packers didn't have the best drive, but got into field goal range. It would have been a long field goal for Anders Carlson. 51 yards. He hit a 52-yard field goal in the preseason outdoors. You're indoors. And this is 51. Inexplicably, the Packers get a delay of game penalty for 5 yards. How that happened, I have no idea. I have no clue. certainly a communication mix-up. I don't understand why you would take 5 there to knock yourself out of realistic field goal range, because now it becomes a 56-yard field goal. But you're still indoors with a kicker who has shown you that he has the leg to boot it. But instead, in addition to the problems that caused the delay of game penalty, which is 100% on Matt LaFleur, he makes the decision to punt as opposed to go for 56 indoors. Those potential 3 points were the difference between winning that ball game by 2 and now losing it by 1. It could have been 27-25 in favor of Green Bay. It says it ends up being 25-24 in favor of Atlanta. It's that same type of decision making. In that very situation, remember back in the NFC Championship game, Packers at home against Tampa Bay, trip to the Super Bowl on the line. Packers with a chance to come back. You need 10. You got enough time to go and get the ball back. Kick the field goal, Matt. Nope, I'm not going to do it. Opts not to kick the field goal. They go for it on 4th. They don't get it. Game over. Could not stop the Buccaneers. So not only does that conservative play calling come back to bite the Packers in the ass again by Matt LaFleur in last week's game, but back in the championship game a few years back and back in 2014, that conservative play not to lose type of mindset has come back to bite the Packers in the ass again. I just don't know where you go from here. What do you do? Again, they're going to play. It's only game 2. They're 1-1. They should be 2-0, but they're not. But with a coach with this mentality, okay, we got to play not to lose. A coach with this mentality, well, you know what? We're gonna punt on the idea of taking a 56-yard field goal indoors with the kicker who's got a leg to get it. The communication mix-ups, the willingness to keep a coach whose philosophy is 100% not working on a consistent basis, despite all the talent, all the draft capital that you spent on defense, including this last draft with Van Ness, who you hope is okay, had an elbow injury. You hope he's able to play. The Rook is looking real good. But with all that draft capital that you spent on defense, you got some really good players on defense. You got them locked up and together for a while. You need to get them a coach that's going to play to their strengths and bring consistency. But instead, you stick with a guy who does not put the players in the best position to succeed, does not play to their strengths, and is not consistent. All because you had a relationship with him on a different team. Meanwhile, better candidates are going to other places and improving their defenses. As this season progresses, we're going to sit here, we're going to watch. We're going to watch what Joe Barry does. Because whatever he does is going to be directly tied to Matt LaFleur. Because LaFleur made the decision to retain him. His successes will be LaFleur's successes. His failures will be LaFleur's failures. And it brings into question his decision-making. And we're talking about LaFleur. Is his kind of decision-making the type that's going to win you world championships? Yes, Noah, world championships. We'll talk about Noah Lyles later in the tall sweep. Yeah, he came into the league in 3 straight years. He won 13 games, which is fantastic. But it was playoff failure after playoff failure after playoff failure. And yeah, it's really hard to win NFL games. It's really hard to win playoff games. But there are decisions that were made by him. And decisions that are continued to be made by him, Matt LaFleur, that now call into question whether or not he's the guy for the job. I'm not saying he's on the hot seat. I'm not even saying it's starting to get warm. I am saying that people have an eyebrow raised. The microscopes are upon them. This whole thing has to get better, from the decision-making to the communication to the consistency of putting guys in the best place to succeed. LaFleur is a hell of an offensive play caller. We saw that, but when he gets conservative and plays not to lose, that all goes out the window. Now, I will say this. It did not help that you didn't have David Bakhtiari, because LaFleur did not want to address it after the game, but we all know what's up. Bakhtiari refuses to play on turf. That game was in Atlanta. Atlanta has turf. This is what's going to be all year. So it sucks that you didn't have Bakhtiari in there, but then you lose Elgton Jenkins. He's got a sprained MCL. Timetable unclear on him on when he will be able to return. So you lost 2 Pro Bowlers on your line. That hurt your run game. A.J. Dillon really couldn't get any traction. You're already missing Aaron Jones. Pressure eventually started to get in the face of Jordan Love, who made some real errant throws. It's been 2 games, and I know it's only been 2 games, but he hasn't exactly been the most accurate through these 2 games. I believe he's completing about 56% of his passes. Some of that due to the line being in flux. Some of it due to him making not some smart passes. So that did play a part in what happened on Sunday. But that wasn't totally the reason. Decision-making by Matt LaFleur. Inconsistencies of Joe Barry's philosophy. Inability by the Packers, unwillingness by the Packers to want to stop the run. All that created a perfect storm of instead going down to Atlanta in a winnable game. Because it was winnable. You had a 12-point lead heading into the fourth quarter. It was 24-12. And you decide in your last 10 snaps to get a total of 7 yards. And there may be more of that on the horizon, because the Saints are coming to town. And that defense is licking their chops. They're going to want to get after Jordan Love. They're going to want to abuse that offensive line that is more than likely going to be without Jenkins, for sure. I fully expect Bakhtiari to play. It's at home, at Lambeau Field, natural grass, no turf. could have been going for 3-0, but instead you're going for 2-1. You cannot afford to cough up winnable games like that. But that's what the Packers did. And now the microscopes are out and eyebrows are raised when you look at Joe Barry, who's already been on hot seat. But they're definitely gazed upon Matt LaFleur. And people are going to start asking questions. And the whispers, oh, they've started already. And that's the state of the state. Badgers are badgering. Brewers are brewing. Packers are losing. But they got a chance to right the ship upcoming Sunday. It's time for us to run the tall sweep. Facebook.com/TOnSportsShow is your home for the Facebook page of Toss. Toss on Facebook. Touch on a lot of things there that we don't get a chance to here on this program. That's Facebook.com/TOnSportsShow. That's TON Sports Show. Follow us. We got to give some major prayers up to Cleveland Browns running back Nick Chubb. If you didn't see the injury, I tell you, don't go and dig up the footage, but a lot of y'all don't listen to me anyway. You're going to do it as it is. But in all seriousness, prayers up to him. I mean, he already came back from a tough knee injury. Now he's going to come back from another one. It was very, very gruesome. You just really hope that he's able to recover, come back, continue to wreck shop. So prayers up to Nick Chubb. Speedy recovery. Hope to see you back sooner rather than later. All right, let's keep on the tall sweep here. And we got to get to WNBA playoff basketball. I made the predictions on last week's show. Some of those series have ended already. Let's see how we did. Your 1 versus 8 was the Las Vegas Aces and the Chicago Sky. The Aces won that series. It's the best of 3 in the first round, remember? They won that series 2-0 in dominant fashion. I said the Sky wouldn't lay down, and they didn't. They put up a fight. But that shows you just how damn dominant the Aces are on both ends of the floor. Asia Wilson just out there wrecking shop. The point guard, Chelsea Gray, doing what she does. Jackie Young doing what she does. Kelsey Plum doing what she does. You love to see it. So the Aces move on to the semifinals. Your 2 versus 7 that wrapped up Tuesday night in overtime. The New York Liberty defeat the Washington Mystics. I said that would be competitive. I thought that might go 3. It did not. The Liberty win that in 2. Mystics took it to overtime. They were hoping to get it to Game 3 because Game 3 would have been at their crib. Remember, the WNBA has a different format. The higher seed gets the first 2 games at home in the best of 3 series. Third game is on the road, which I think is not that advantageous. But if you're the higher seed, get it done at home. Otherwise, you got to go on the road, get it done. But it looks like we're tracking towards that final that I thought we would see between the Aces and the Liberty. But there's still a lot of basketball to be played. Your 3 versus 6 matchup, the Connecticut Sun versus the Lynx of Minnesota. And I said, too, that was going to be a competitive series. I said I would not be surprised if it went the distance, the full 3 games. I said I would not be surprised if the Lynx were to win that series. I just thought that the Sun were just on a different level. Well, now that's going to a full 3. That series is tied 1-1. Nafisa Collier coming back in Game 2 after a stinker in Game 1. Hell of a game for her in game 2 to push that to a third game. That's going to be very interesting to watch. There could be an upset alert. We'll find that out when they play next. And then your 4 versus 5, a series I also said was going to be competitive. Currently playing right now. Wings Dream. Wings with a chance to win that series. So playoffs, had some really good games, some really great performances. Y'all need to get eyes on the WNBA, man. Y'all really do. It's live. All right, so I made the teaser earlier. I dropped his name in the State of the State. Now we're going to talk about it. Noah Lyles, world champion track and field athlete Noah Lyles, and he had a hell of a track and field season. I'm excited to see what he does in Paris in 2024. Next summer, the Olympic Games. But he became the villain of the NBA by coming out saying that it hurts him that, you know, a league like the NBA can call themselves world champions when they don't face the world. And I'm paraphrasing, basically, is what I'm saying. You got some players and coaches who agree with it. You got some players and coaches who vehemently disagree with it. But my point is, and I said this on, you know, the Toss Facebook page, this is a stay in your lane situation, dude. Like, this ain't your league. This ain't your sport. Now, you had it. You feeling yourself. You won some world championships in this event and this event, and you're well on your way to having a hell of an Olympic Games coming up in 2024. Okay, you feeling yourself. I get it. I understand it, man. On top of the world. But you didn't have to go and disparage an entire league and its players to try and make a point. Now, this point has been brought out before. It's not like this has been out there in the lexicon anyway. Greg Popovich said, I believe back in 2010, 2011, that, you know, we should be called world champions. We should be called NBA champions because we don't face the world. Giannis has come out and says, oh, I agree. You know, they don't even do that in soccer. And soccer is the biggest sport in the world. And I love Giannis. That's my boy. Then you got some players who disagree with it. Helped his brother, said KD. Damian Lillard just came out. Look, if you were to take the NBA champion and go on a tour against the best teams in the world, they would smoke them. I mean, the NBA would smoke them. So, yes, they're world champions, is what Damian Lillard says. And again, I'm paraphrasing. There's some people who feel right on the side of Noah Lyles. There are some people who feel right on the other side of it, that they are world champions. Now, I use it, and I say they're world champions because they are. And I say it for a specific point. I say it from a perspective that, A, you have a lot of players from the world that want to come to the NBA to play. This is the league they want to be in. Some players get to the NBA and then they leave and they go back overseas because they get more playing time, they get more money, and I get it. I understand it. They want to go back home to their home country and all that. I get it. I 100% understand it. But most players overseas want to come over to the NBA and make it in the NBA. It's not an American league, just an American league anymore. It is a world league. You have some of the best players from around the world now in this league. So you very much are going up against the world. But my point of all this would be simply this. They're world champions, but what are they called? NBA world champions. Why are they called NBA world champions? Because there's no one in the world better at NBA basketball than this team that's won the world championship. Right now, currently, it's the Denver Nuggets. Just a couple seasons ago, it was the Milwaukee Bucks. There is no one better in the world at NBA basketball than the NBA world champion. And that's why they have world champion on the front of it. It's the reason why it's world champion in the NFL, because there's no one better in the world at NFL football than this team that has the Lombardi Trophy. Packers have won 13 of them. So I get your point, Noah Lyles. Yeah, they don't play against the other teams that. So I get your point, Noah Lyles, that they don't don the jersey of their respective teams around the world. I get it. I understand it. But at the same time, most everybody in the world wants to be in the NBA. They want parts of those teams. They want parts of winning those championships. There's a team in Canada. They want to make teams in China. They want to make teams in Mexico. They want to spread this around the world. So I get his point. I get everybody else's point who disagrees with him. But I'm going to tell you what, no matter what, I'm still going to call them world champions. I don't give a damn what Noah Lyles thinks. He's a world champion, and so are the NBA championship winners. All right, y'all. That'll do it for me. It's episode 139 of the Toss Tristain on Sports Show. You know where to find me on social media. For now, I'm on X at the 20double. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be there. Different story for a different day. I'm on Threads at the 20double or at T2. I'm on Fanbase at T2. We're on Facebook. Follow us. Facebook.com/T on Sports Show. That's TON Sports Show. And of course, TossNationMedia.com. Your home for the Toss brand of sports. Truthful, opinionated, passionate sports. It's what you deserve. And I promise the Fallout blog following Packers games will be coming back. I just have been too angry to write, especially this past week after that 1-point loss to the Falcons. But let's wash our mouths out of that loss and let's move on. It's T2 Tristain Thomas reminding all of you to keep it moving forward. Always forward. Forward always. Talk to you guys next week. Until then, so long from Toss.